athletics budget is not the flashiest piece of sports news. However, it has always been very important. And now, as college sports change to eventually share revenue with athletes, a meeting like this morning's at the University of Louisville is now that much more important.
$20 million, that's a big expense line. And I know we're not just going to cut our way to $20 million.
Our next item is the approval of the 2024-2025 EULA operating budget.
Not many places can, and at Louisville, the full focus for figuring out how to share as much as 22% of its revenue with Cardinal athletes starting in the fall of 2025 sounds simple.
To run a very functional athletic department where we aren't wasting dollars, and all of those dollars that we are finding are going towards that expense line that we're going to see here in the near future.
But it obviously is not.
We have a number of buckets, Alston funding, cost of attendance, financial aid, meals, housing. So what is a complete package for a student athlete going to look like as we move forward? It's going to be a balance of revenue and expense. And every athletic director, every university is trying to come up with that formula that works for them.
As of now, he does not expect to kill any of the program's sports. According to U of L, 33% of its revenue is traced to football and men's basketball ticket sales, which the department assumes will increase by a combined 40% across those sports. For example, ticket sales for women's basketball, volleyball, and baseball combined for 2% of total revenue.
Most of our coaches in our non-revenue sports operate pretty lean. They always have. They will continue to do that. So there's not a lot of opportunities to, hey, let's cut this, let's cut that.
For now, it may not be certain cuts. However, the current reality is a reimagining of doing business.
We have to be creative. This is a changing landscape in college athletics, and we have to be coming up with ideas and be prepared for the future, and that's what we're going to try to do.
Scott, Eric Crawford and I attended this full meeting. You can find our takeaways and Josh Hurt's full interview at WDRB.com. Just click on sports.
Yeah, a lot of money in this budget. Everybody wants some, like Dan McDonnell getting almost $3 million, it sounds like, for some upgrade in baseball. Yeah. But I'm not sure if that's what he wanted. Maybe he wanted more. Do you know?
Well, that particular piece of information, that was actually approved last year for the fiscal budget. So most of that's actually already been worked on. We don't know if there is new money coming in to alleviate any of McDonald's concerns. And actually, Josh Hurt spoke to their relationship and credited McDonald's competitiveness to try and keep up. But just realistically speaking, Scott, it's hard to imagine huge amounts of money going to every single sport. I do not think that is realistic when we look at the numbers as they stand now. And of course, when you have to find that $20 million, I think some sports are going to need to get used to whatever they have or get used to having less, because that's just the reality of the situation.
It kind of reminds me of before revenue sharing in pro sports. Like the Yankees could spend all this money, and there were no caps, and the big teams won. Now Texas A&M and Tennessee in baseball might offer a kid $500,000 to play in baseball. How does U of L or UK keep up with that?
Well, I think they're going to have to, again, get creative with a bunch of different revenue streams. That's something that Josh Hurt talked about today. And I have to emphasize that none of us have the clear answers on this. And one thing that probably can happen is if you bring the compensation in-house, as this plan would do, the collectives are still going to be around. And I think NIL has to be more of a supplemental piece because it too often dominates the conversation as it stands now.
It's a different world we're in.
Yes, sir.
We'll see how they navigate it. Thanks, Tyler.
No problem.